Frankly speaking, on the first bat, I'm impressed with the list. From the standpoint that I believe the president has put a list together to help him to achieve his political agenda for the country and deliver services to the Nigerian people. It is important that these ministers, once they are sworn in, immediately get to work in achieving the set goals that the president has already defined, because Nigeria is at an inflection point. The Nigerian people are waiting anxiously to benefit from the dividends of democracy. And President Tinubu is in a historic position, given his legacy as governor here in Lagos, and of course, his political career, to deliver these benefits to the Nigerian people. And I'm deeply convinced that the president will achieve that.
You know, one thing that also came up yesterday in yesterday's conversation is that, look, any president anywhere, but particularly in Nigeria, maybe in West Africa, when you're going to come up with a list like this, excuse me, there are quite a number of things to bear in mind. Sort of compensation is supposed to be part of that, you know, what people derogatorily call jobs for the boys. That's on the one hand. But the sheer number of professionals and technocrats and experts in their various fields that the president has managed to entice back home. Maybe that's not the word to use. I won't say entice, because these guys were doing fantastic abroad. And so it's a matter of, they saw what you've just said in Nigeria and decided to put on hold. I'm talking here about, take for example, the duo of the Minister of Health and the Minister of State for Health.
Yes.
Those two gentlemen.
Yes.
The Minister of Health, you know, a professor, world acclaim, you know, the Minister of State for Health, some very, very successful medical person in the US. These guys put those on hold. And there are situations you have where in your present endeavor, you are doing more than good. You don't need anything. And then when people of such caliber now say, you know what, for all of that, I'll hang my stethoscope. I'm going back home. My country needs me.
It's called love of country, before anything else. One of the things that you find overseas in the developed world is what they call love of country. Country, God, and family. It is about time that we begin to experience some of this in Nigeria. In fact, most of the time when I do come home, it's for love of country.
Okay.
That is why constantly in the last few years, I've tried to engage with the general public to preach a gospel of culture change, which I believe is transformational in helping us get to our destination as a country. And I think the president alluded to that in one of his political speeches, which I heard. He said, we need a mindset change. And I laughed because it specifically dovetails and keys in to my advocacy, which is that for these ministers the president has appointed to achieve the president's objective and to deliver services to our people, alongside must be an element of cultural change.
Okay.
No longer doing business as usual. Cultural change means consequences for every action, so that we can uplift our people and take them to their destination. And this will also require of the president to also communicate effectively with the Nigerian people and to have a contract with the Nigerian people to say, if you do this, government would meet you here and deliver the services. Because government might be doing very fine. If the population is not doing theirs, then we cannot achieve the set objectives. So every part of the process has to work together. And to mention about the ministers, I was particularly impressed with the appointment of Wike as Minister for Federal Capital Territory.
The former governor of Lagos.
Yes. I think that he will sanitize that ministry, restore some sanity, and do away with some of the intransigence and impunity that has taken place in that ministry over the years since El-Rufai left. And of course, although initially I was hoping that the president will appoint him to works, works or power, because works and power, along with finance, are the key tripods upon which this administration will succeed and lift our people out of poverty. And I think that the president has started very well with the subsidy removal and, of course, the equalization of the foreign exchange rate. I think that President Tinubu is on the right track.
On course.
What we do need is patience from the Nigerian people, because with the new administration coming in, it requires a minimum of 18 to 24 months for the policies of this administration to begin to take effect. But I will just hold on for a while and allow you to lead with the questions.
Indeed. And when you look at, well, there's no ministry that isn't important, because all of them are coming together to work for the upliftment of the country. But when you look at things like offices like that of the Attorney General of the Federation and Commissioner for Justice, Minister for Justice, I beg your pardon. Again, that community has said that this is an excellent chap that is now in that office. The only gripe, shall we call it, that they had is that there was not a separation, and they had hoped that there might be between the minister and the Attorney General, because some of them, sometimes they clash, and you want an Attorney General who really is the nation's lawyer. Yes. You know, well, what do you think about that?
Well, I think that the quality of the individual is important, and the individual the president has appointed has the confidence of the president. And from what I have known about President Tinubu, and some of the caliber of the persons appointed so far, I believe that this minister or the Attorney General would be able to discharge the duties required of that office and be able to manage these two departments, both as Minister, as Justice Minister, and the Attorney General, because it is important here that it is not the various departments that is under the ministry that is important, but the quality and the caliber of the individuals appointed. And of course, the checks and balances that are in place to ensure that the laws of the land are followed and violators of our lands are prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. So knowing the legacy of this individual, I think that he will do a good job. And Nigerians actually are at a point here now where Nigerians want consequences for actions. So if you violate the law, you pay the price. Indeed. So we must get rid of this era of what I call Oga Abeg, which are the three most dangerous words in the Nigerian lexicon.
Indeed.
Because we believe that when we violate any law, as soon as we offer those three words, then our sins should be forgiven.
And you have the right connection, somebody to call somebody.
And that is wrong.
And that is certainly wrong. Okay, let's take a break now. Please stay with us. We'll be right back. And as I said, we'll include your calls later on. Okay, welcome back. And our guest is Nosa Osaiku, and he's a member of the Nigerian human rights community, apart from being a certified project manager. And we're looking at the composition of President Tinubu's cabinet. The ministers designate will be sworn in on Monday. We hear that will be following a sort of a retreat for the ministers. But we were talking just before we went about a number of innovations. There's ministries like the Ministry of Finance. We had a variation, such a sort of modification, even I think in Obasanjo's time. We have it again now. Finance and coordinating the economy is one. Then there's marine and blue economy. Keyamo is not just the Ministry of Aviation, also of what is, I forget now, but it's about space development, you know, something like that, you know. Then health and social welfare. So it just goes on and on, gas resources, humanitarian affairs, and poverty alleviation.
You see, I'll tell you this now. I think I'm not under the payroll of President Tinubu. Okay, I mean, I would like to make that clear here. Over the years, I grew myself being the critic of government, but over the years, I have found out that the best way you can achieve for our people is to work with government to provide solutions. I think this president has tapped into something that would uplift this nation and reposition our country for the 21st century. Some of the ministries and the realignment are spot on and innovative because they would help us to harness these resources For example, regarding with the blue economy,
Yes.
below the seabed, okay, we have large, extensive amount of nautical miles, with that borders Nigeria, which we have access to according to UN charter, that we can explore. We're talking about minerals like cobalt, iron ore, silver, gold. These are needed in enormous amount. That if we can,
under the seabed.
under the seabed, yes, that you can explore. But the thing is, which I know President Tinubu would not do, is that government should not be in the leading role of doing this, but rather these efforts should be privatized so that private industries should drive growth and productivity for our country.
Okay.
The days where government has to set up companies and provide jobs are far gone. Our government should not be in the business of creating jobs, but rather this government and future government should be about creating the enabling environment
For jobs to be
that would allow jobs to be created. For example, in the United States, nearly 85% of jobs in that country are created by the private sector. So what we need government to focus on now is to provide the necessary infrastructures that would enable businesses to thrive.
You know, you spoke about minerals and cobalt and some of those things
Yeah.
are under the seabed.
Yes, yes.
And that just reminds me that there's also a new ministry, something about solid minerals development.
Okay.
There's this ministry,
Yes.
of solid ministry development.
Yes.
That's headed up by Dele Alake.
Yes.
So when you mentioned that, my mind immediately went
Yes.
there.
Yes.
So there's a lot of stuff that we probably might not have paid as much attention to in the past.
Exactly.
That the president is now showing
doing.
is very important.
Yes. Like you mentioned, gas resources.
Gas resources too.
That is an underutilized resources in this country. Originally, I have a degree in chemical engineering, so I'm aware of some of those, that for years we have been burning and flaring gases in Nigeria. That is like putting tens of millions of naira on the table and setting it on fire. We can drive and create at least 5 million jobs by properly harnessing that resources. For example, many people go to the market to buy gas cylinders. What stops us from planning our society in such a way that this gas can be channeled to homes where you don't need to go carry cylinders, but you turn on the valve, you get gas
You
immediately.
get gas. So you subscribe to it just like electricity.
Exactly, and it will be metered. Not only that, we can also drive our power system with gas. Okay, it should be an integrated system where the power plants are positioned to where there are lines that go straight directly to these power plants that are gas-driven to generate electricity to our people. Because if we can solve electricity problem in this country, you can take it from the table and almost 10 to 25% of overhead costs for businesses. That saved resources can be channeled to create jobs for our people. And now that I talked about gas, I want to mention this here. When the president came in and removed the fuel subsidy, there were a lot of decibels that were raised about that. But it was the right decision. It was the right decision because you could not have done it 6 months later. But with the palliatives that has been talked about, I want to suggest here that we can achieve the palliatives and reduce the cost of fuel by embracing ethanol. In Brazil, since 1972, 100% of the vehicles in that country run on ethanol. We can do that here in this country.
Ethanol is a liquid fuel, isn't it?
Yes, and you can get that from sugarcane, from corn, and from cassava. So my proposition is that with that alone, we can create 10 million jobs in this country.
And we can augment the petroleum.
If the president today sends legislation to the National Assembly and mandates 20% ethanol blend with our gasoline, that will reduce at a minimum the price of fuel per liter by 25%. That's one, which means that will drive down the cost of transportation. That will have a net effect on the economy by reducing inflation without injecting additional funds into the economy that would exacerbate inflation. Then number three, farmers will now be making tons of money because they will be the new oil producers. So you can go farm cassava and you sell it to the brokers that will send it to the factory to convert it to ethanol. Corn, cassava, and
And we have those in plenty.
Sugarcane.
We have those very plentifully
Yes.
here. Talking about modified portfolios or new ones altogether, there's also steel development.
Yes.
Steel development is in there, and also the one that will gladden the hearts of a lot of Nigerians as well, as much as industrial and all of that is industry and all of that is very, very important. There's this new, amalgamation. You have art, culture, and the creative economy.
Yes. If you go outside Nigeria, I have a lot of friends who are not Africans and who are not Nigerians. But Nigerian culture today is of immense value to them. They wear Nigerian clothes, some of the fabric I'm putting on now.
Yes.
Nigerian food is a rave in America today. People go to restaurants, Nigerian restaurants, to eat Nigerian food. And in addition to that, Nigerian music and our movies.
And Nigerian films.
Yes, Nigerian films. So there are ways government can incentivize that industry to help them so that they can reap the benefits of their art. Because a lot of the produce from that industry, especially the entertainment industry, they are not reaping those funds that they could accrue. Government can help that in terms of passing legislation with regards to piracy and others. And not only that, we can also provide resources through the relevant agencies to even assist some of the up-and-coming artists to project them in the advanced countries so that more resources can be remitted back home.
Previous administrations have thought of it as little more than entertainment, not understanding, just like sports. They say sports is mega in terms of what it can yield.
Yes.
So that the Tinubu administration has seen fit to now, zoom in on that and say you now have art, you have culture, and you have the creative economy all under one ministerial roof.
Yes.
It cannot but be good
Yes.
for the sector.
It is excellent. It is excellent because one of the things that most people don't understand here is that the strength and power that the United States of America exerts globally does not necessarily come from the might of its military capacity, but rather from soft power, which is the culture, the movies. That is how they are able to win the hearts and minds of people around the world.
Around the world.
And Nigeria is actually on the threshold of meeting that target today.
I think so.
If you talk to people from the Latin America world, I have friends from Mexico, Honduras, the first thing they say, you're Nigerian. Oh man, I've watched this Nigerian movie. And they begin to tell me the stories.
Exactly.
So we really need to find ways to monetize this in terms of process of delivery. I do know, for instance, now that Netflix is streaming some of the movies from Nigeria, which provides resources to our people and to those who are engaged in that industry. So government can help by incentivizing the industry and those in the industry in setting up necessary machinery to ensure that we can continue to monetize and benefit.
I'm going to come back. It's not that youth are the only people involved, but youth got their own ministry via the Youth and Development Ministry. Sports is what it is, but now they've added Youth and Development Ministry. Let me take this call coming in from Ibadan. Mr. Wole in Ibadan. Good morning to you, sir. Well, he's not there anymore. Are you there, Wole?
Good morning, Uncle Yori. I'm here.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Uncle Yori.
Okay, then. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, good morning to the guest.
Yes, good morning.
I just want to weigh in.
Sure.
Hello?
Please continue.
I just want to weigh in on the ministers and the portfolios.
Okay, go ahead.
What I would actually want to say is that we should give the president a little, and this cabinet time to see what they will do. Because Tinubu is someone that his things are novel. He comes out with things that you will not expect, but you will see them work. So I think we should give him that time for them to settle down and let's see what they will do, which I think is the best thing. Saying someone does not fit into this portfolio or does not fit into that portfolio does not really matter. The things that are essential are the Ministry of Justice, Attorney General, and that of the Minister for Finance and Economy. Outside those two, anybody with any qualification can actually perform if the person is good in most of those ministries. You understand? It's really that it's not rocket science. You understand? The thing is to have the passion and the willingness to learn. Once you have that, these things will work. And Tinubu, being the kind of person he is, we know what he did in Lagos. When he started, nobody gave him all this chance that all these people he's bringing will perform. Look at the people today. And most of them are not, they are not experts in positions where they are, but they have performed to be expectation. It's Fashola, an engineer that performs so well in works. And there's several of them like that. So what I would just implore Nigerians, let's give these people time. Let's see what they will do.
Thank you very much, Wale, for calling in with that. You know, I've got to go on a break now. Please stay with us. We'll be right back.